Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Fresh. You can call me Fresh. Hey, guess what? Kali Linux time, baby. Let's go. Alright, so we are continuing to have too much fun with this Metasploitable2 box. Today, we are going to be doing a little bit of brute forcing. Specifically, we're going to brute force the login for SSH. Let's go ahead and get started with this video. Alright, so hopefully you've heard of SSH before. SSH is referred to as OpenSSH. It is a remote login client. SSH actually stands for Secure Shell. It is a cryptographic protocol that is used to securely access remote systems. We are going to start off by running an Nmap scan on our target, the Metasploitable2 box. We have done this many times. I'm running it with -s capital V to get back versioning information on services that are running on the target. It's just a very basic Nmap scan, so it has completed, and we can see from the results the second service that we get in this list is the SSH service. It is running on open port, the TCP port of 22. And we get back that it is running OpenSSH 4.7 using protocol 2.0, which I'm not sure if that has any vulnerabilities, though it is definitely outdated. So with this particular attack, we're not looking at any potential vulnerabilities inside of SSH itself. We are just capitalizing off of the fact that Metasploitable2 is using weak credentials. And if you are using weak credentials, and you're making it much more possible to gain unauthorized access to the server. So we know that SSH is running on the machine. One assumption that we are making in this example is that we know the username, which is msfadmin. So we do not know the password, but we do know the username, and we are going to attempt to do a brute force attack to get the password for the SSH login. And realistically, there are numerous ways that we could have legitimately acquired this username through other things that we have looked at on the box. Now, in a more realistic scenario, you may not know the username. You may not. This is still possible. It just would take much longer if you did not know the username. And obviously, we only have so much time, so we do have to do certain things to remove the time factor to make this quicker. But in a real world scenario, this would take much longer. Alright, so if we come up here to the applications menu, number 8, known as credential access, it contains all sorts of different utilities that can be used to crack password hashes, create word lists to be used for cracking password hashes, pretty much anything and everything you could think of that has to do with passwords and hashes you're going to find inside of credential access. The tool that we're going to use is called Medusa. It's referred to as a parallel network login auditor. You do have to make the distinction between, are we trying to do something that is online or offline? What we are doing is online. If this were offline and we had acquired a hash, we would approach this differently. So we're going to use Medusa for this. You can also use Hydra. Hydra is probably the go-to. The reason that we're using Medusa is because the SSH protocol that we are applying this to, it's using an outdated SSH algorithm, and Hydra may have difficulties working with that particular algorithm. So we are going to use Medusa. So if I do a what is on Medusa, we get back that same information. It's a parallel network login auditor. As always, you do have a man page. You can take a look at that. It'll give you plenty of information on this utility. And we can also pull up the help menu by running --help. That will give you your various options as well as syntax on how to use this. In order to use command line utilities such as this one right here, such as Medusa, you are going to need to have username lists or password lists. For this example, we are making the assumption that we already know the username and we are searching for the password. So we definitely need some sort of password list. Now, on Kali Linux, all of your various word lists, including password lists, are going to be located inside of user share word lists. So if I do an ls, you see that we have quite a few directories, and we also have some files. Perhaps the most known password list inside of this directory is of course going to be the rocku.txt password list. In red, this is the gzipped version. I have already unzipped it. We're not going to be using it for this particular demo, but this is the most known password list. It's used in so many different demos and tutorials and applications. It is a password list that consists of over 14 million passwords. And if you do want to make use of that, then you can simply just run gunzip with sudo privileges and it will unzip that. If we do a word count on that, you will get back that it consists of over 14 million passwords. But we are not going to use that in this demo because it would take way too long. So there is a directory inside of this word list directory, and it is called Metasploit. So we actually have a whole directory full of username lists as well as password lists that all relate to Metasploit that can be used with various tools, with various modules in the Metasploit framework. This can also be useful for what we are doing. So inside of this directory, we have all sorts of different username lists and password lists. Now, what I did in order to make this as realistic as I could, I wanted to find a list inside of this directory that actually is using the password. We know what the password is. The password, it's using weak credentials, so the password is the same as the username. The password is msfadmin. That should not be a spoiler alert to anybody. So if I grep with -nr and I grep for msfadmin inside of this directory, I do get back that it is in one of these lists. It's in this list right here. It's called piata_ssh_user_password.txt. So this seems to be a password list that is actually used for SSH related things, probably pertaining to some of the auxiliary scanners for SSH inside of the Metasploit framework. If we do a wc-l for the to count the number of lines inside of this file, we see it's 917 long. If I cat it out, you can see that this is organized as the username followed by the password. We don't want that. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to use just a little command line kung fu, if you will. And I am going to use awk. I'm going to print out the first column of that list. We're basically using this list to create a new password list. That is what I'm doing, since I know that it does contain the real password. You could say this is cheating, but we're doing this for learning. We're doing this for educational purposes. and we have time constraints, so I don't want to hear about it. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to save it to a file. I'm going to call it password.txt, and I'm putting that inside of my home directory. CD back into my home directory. So now if I cat out the contents of that file, I have basically just created a new password file based off of the existing one. This is what it looks like. And it's still almost 1,000 lines long. So it still is of a decent size. 917 lines long. Alright, so now we're going to fire up Medusa. We're going to do a -h, and we're going to provide it with the IP address of the host. We're going to do a -u and provide it with the username, which we are assuming we know, which is MSFadmin, and then we're doing a -P, and we're providing it with a password list. That password list is called password.txt. It's in my home directory. I'm giving it the full path. And then we're doing a -M and specifying SSH. The -M is so that we can give it the name of the module to execute. The module that we are executing is the SSH module. The syntax of the command is correct. Let's go ahead and hit enter. Alright, so it's going to start it up, and it's going to go through each line until it finds the correct password. Now this obviously will still take a little bit of time to complete. So this is one of those things where you are going to run this and you're going to go do something else, or go drink coffee, work out, whatever it is that you do, but you're not going to sit here and watch this line by line. In a real world situation, this is something that could potentially even take days. Alright, so I'm going to open up another tab, and I'm going to speed things up just a little bit. This is definitely cheating. I'm probably going to hear about this in the comments, but that's okay. There's other YouTube channels out there you can go watch if you want to find a more realistic example. So what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to use Nano. I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it file.txt, and I am just going to put inside of this file the real password, which is MSFadmin. Nothing else. And this is just to show you that this does work if you don't want to wait for the other command to finish, because it will take some time. Alright, so once again, -h followed by the IP address of the host, -u followed by the username MSFadmin, -P, we're going to give it the password list, which is inside of file.txt, and then -M for mode, we're running, -M for module, we're using the SSH module, and hit enter. And as you can see, it finished very quickly. We have a success, and it has found the password. So this is definitely cutting corners. This is definitely cheating, but it is, once again, it's just because we have time constraints. Real world scenario, it's going to take so much longer, but it's more about the methodology and showing you how this would work and showing you the process to make it work. So assuming that we have now found the login password for our user, we're now going to use SSH to go ahead and actually log in to the Metasploitable2 server. Now if I just attempt to run SSH by itself, I'm going to log in to MSFadmin, give it the IP address. It's going to be at 192.168.56.3, and I'll hit enter. Now you see we get this error back. It says that it's unable to negotiate with with the server on that port, and there's no matching host key found. And then over here on the right it says that their offer is ssh-rsa, ssh-dss. So basically what that is saying to us is that the OpenSSH client that we are using on this system, as with most systems that you find nowadays, they have disabled support for such a key exchange algorithm as the one that is needed for this. It's an older key exchange algorithm, not typically still used. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to force it to use this older key exchange algorithm. So to do that, we're going to run SSH, and we're going to do a -o, and we are going to actually specify a new host key algorithm. Now I can actually tab to autocomplete this. The algorithm is going to be plus SSH -rsa, and then I'm going to do an O again, and now we're going to add the public key accepted key type to also be plus SSH-RSA, and then we'll go ahead and do what we would normally do with SSH. We're going to provide the username, which is msfadmin, at the host IP address. We have learned that the password is also the same as the username, which is msfadmin, and we are now logged into the Metasploitable2 box via SSH. Now if I run the whoami command, see we get back msfadmin, and if I run the id command, we get the groups that we are a part of, but we are not root. So at this point, this is where you would normally engage in a little bit of privilege escalation, but for this box in this situation, it's not much of a privilege escalation process. It's about as simple as it can be. Okay, so if I run the whoami command, we get back that we are msfadmin. I can run the id command, and we will get back the various groups that we are a part of. You can see that we are a part of the admin group. So while we are not root, we are a part of the admin group, so we can execute commands with sudo. So if I run sudo -l, it will ask you for the password, which is msfadmin. I can actually just run sudo su, and we now switch to the root user. So we are now the root user on this box. Probably the easiest and most basic example of escalating your privileges. I don't know if you could really even say that we did privilege escalation, but there you have it. We have gained root access to the Metasploitable2 box via weak passwords that we're attempting to protect SSH. Now over here in another window, I actually have that same command running, except with the longer password list, which is almost 1,000 lines long, and this has been running for probably over 30 minutes now, and it still has not finished. In fact, down here at the bottom you can see that we are on 295 of 917. So I know that the password is at the end, so this realistically will probably still take another hour or 2 hours for this to complete. And just to show you guys that the previous command that we ran, it did work. This is what it looks like after it has successfully found the password, and this took place on the 915th line of a file that was 917 lines long. So it basically went through almost every single line, every single word in that list before it finally found the password. Alright, so that's going to be it. I know that we cut some corners in this video to demonstrate this this attack vector, but hopefully the methodology has become apparent for you, and hopefully you got something out of this video. As always, if you have not done so already, please stop what you're doing right now. Please stop what you're doing right now. If you are not subscribed to my channel, go hit the subscribe button. If you are hanging out with your girlfriend right now, or you got your buddy next to you, or you're at work watching YouTube videos when you should be working, whatever it is you're doing, if you have somebody else in the room with you, ask them to subscribe to my channel. It is the easiest, most simple thing, and it is free. And by you doing this, you are greatly helping out my channel. You're helping me get my content to more people, and that is one of my goals. Thank you for watching. As always, keep learning and stay fresh.